people express themselves in different ways, and you chose music and dance.
I loved the art of dance.
What is it that you were so excited about?
It was a way to shut out the noise.
What kind of trauma can movement heal?
Sometimes I feel things when I'm dancing. I can't even express it in words.
What made you feel unloved?
You like a boy, the boy doesn't like you back. Maybe it's because of my lip. Maybe he doesn't want to kiss me.
Some other people will be like, oh, she has small eyes, she has a big nose.
Most people are in pain, and I want that person to give me that validation. Can you imagine?
You didn't speak out.
In our culture as Arabs, a lot of people are told not to voice out.
How you overcame them all.
It was the first time ever that I decided to see a therapist. I went through a very, very tough time in my life, and the pain was real.
That's very sad.
No one is exempted from feeling pain in this lifetime. Everyone at one point is on that dance floor.
نقطة على السطر مش مجرد بودكاست، هي عودتي. بكل إنسان مشاعر ما لقيت طريق للتعبير عنها، أحاسيس تأجلت، أحلام انطوت، وصوت داخلي عم بفتش على وسيلة يسمع فيها. ضيفتي اليوم اختارت إنه تكون الحركة وسيلتها، والإبداع طريقة لفهم الذات وشفاء الجروح. مخرجة إبداعية ومصممة رقص ومؤسسة مساحة بتستخدم الفن والحركة للتعبير والتحول. هالحوار رح يكون باللغة الإنجليزية لأنه ضيفتي مع أنها لبنانية إلا أنها بتلاقي صعوبة بالتعبير الكامل عن مشاعرها باللغة العربية، وفضلت إنه تشارك قصتها بلغة هي بترتاح لها أكتر، والصدق دايماً أهم من اللغة. أنا رانيا برغوت وهذا نقطة على السطر، وضيفتي ريا هرموش. ريا, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in this beautiful weather of ours.
Yes, beautiful is an understatement. Sweaty beautiful.
Sweaty beautiful. Rhea, I wanted to start from not from the beginning, in fact, from now.
Yeah.
You have so many beautiful things happening to you nowadays, and I'd like to know what they are. And then we're going to go backwards.
Okay.
Okay, so what is it? What is it that you were so excited about?
I can easily say that this past year and a half, maybe also a little bit longer, has been a very transformational year for me. A lot of shifts, a lot of eye-opening moments, a lot of healing, heart-healing moments. So yeah, there's been, I want to say, a slightly newer version of Rhea that has come to the light that I got to know better. And it's been, there's been rough times, but there's been equally really good times. And as they say, you know, it has to, the sun will always come out even after the storm. So the storm has to happen sometimes for you to really see and tap into what your true potential is. So,
you know, the name of the show, of the podcast, is called نقطة على السطر. In English, it's called The Next Chapter. So you have several chapters that happened in your life.
yeah.
So you were talking about the bad and the good. And the hard times always have a way of healing themselves. Oh, time gets to heal everything, but we also work for that. We work to heal ourselves. So let's start with that, because we want to talk about the trauma, and we want to talk about the things that were unhappy times for you, but then how you overcame them all. You had a very turbulent childhood. You had a difficult childhood, let's say.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Okay, so firstly, I wouldn't say it was a difficult childhood. I would just say it was a childhood where we experienced traumas. And for me, trauma is a very delicate word because sometimes it's misconstrued. So I'd like to refer to it as a trauma with a lowercase t and not a capital T.
Okay.
Meaning that there are little traumas that we face as kids, and it could be as simple as someone in school pushed me on the playground, and that is considered a trauma, down to more hurtful things. So yeah, I grew up in a home where there was a bit of dysfunctionality in the house, and I carried traumas with me, and not knowing that these traumas get manifested in your life.
Yes.
Whether it's in relationships, whether it's in your work, whether it's with bosses and colleagues and stuff. So it's only when you are, you know, in either a really intimate relationship where partners put mirrors up to your faces, or when times get tough, that these things start to come up, because that's what we call a trigger.
Absolutely. So what shaped you most in your childhood?
I don't really remember much of my childhood, but I know that...
No. What I meant was, no, I didn't mean a memory. I mean, what do you think that helped Rhea come out of her shell
today?
During growing up, during the time when you were growing up?
Honestly, it's going to sound a little bit cheesy, but it's the truth. It's my dance. I've somehow, because, you know, you hear a lot like dance is therapy, but truly it is. And for me, it was a way to shut out the noise, or to not feel the things that I didn't want to feel. As kids, you know, there's no gray area with kids. It's black or white. So it's either I'm loved or I'm not loved. They don't know how to process. So the feeling of not feeling loved is really intense in a child. That's why people end up getting into patterns, or, you know, addictions, or coping mechanisms, or whatever it is that we build within us from a younger age and carry throughout many, many years with us. So for me, it was like, if I didn't want to deal with the pain, or if I didn't want to feel, which is really important, I just would go into a dance studio or go to rehearsals, or I would just dance. And it was a way for me to shut myself out of the world and not feel that all that is real, and I could just be in my little bubble of happiness.
Kind of running away from your feelings. What made you feel unloved, or you thought you were unloved?
Yes, that's exactly. I was going to tell you. It was the thought. It's only a belief. I was very much loved. And I always say this, and this is a lot of the healing that I have done. When we heal from homes, dysfunctional homes, or parents, or whatever it is, we never do it to blame the other person. That's very, very important, because I did at one point. I held a lot of resentment. I held a bit of blame.
But it's a self-defense mechanism.
Exactly. And it's because I didn't know any better. But when you work through it, you realize that, you know, everyone around you who are your caretakers, caregivers and stuff, they all do the best that they can with what they knew at the time. And that is very freeing and very peaceful feeling. And so if I had the feeling that I was unloved, that doesn't necessarily mean that I was not loved. And this was really, really transformational for me to really grasp and understand and digest. So yes, as a child, they can feel unloved. If a child comes in and wants to play with you, and you just say, go to your room, I don't have time now, or they just see you on your phone and not giving them attention, they can interpret that as not feeling loved. Yes. So I had that belief. The belief was something very strong. I think mainly because, like I said, mom and dad had problems, and then we had some financial issues at home. Dad wasn't present all the time. He was traveling a lot for work. I mean, these are normal day-to-day things. Most of my friends have one of their parents like traveling and stuff. But at that time, how did Rhea take it? Like, I'm not worthy enough for you to be here the whole time. Therefore, it must be that I'm unloved.
Can I ask you if your parents would sit down and talk with you and say, you know, your feelings are valid, but it's not like that?
No.
You know,
and not because they didn't know.
They didn't know. You didn't speak out.
I didn't speak up because I did not know. This was, you know, when you feel unloved, sometimes you don't really know at that point in time, like, how to vocalize it. And when you're young, like, you cannot. Like I said, it's not, there's no gray area. It's very black and white. I'm loved or I'm unloved. And then the voicing out, of course, that's another element. I didn't really have that. Like, for me, it wasn't like, we didn't have these like sit downs and talk to me about your feelings and all that. So no, I would say I must have kept them inside me, and I must have suppressed it and just...
Did you act out as a teenager?
Not really, actually. I was such a good student in school, like good grades. Good. And I think I know why, because a lot of it was the people-pleasing part of me, where I needed to please my friends. I had to get the good grades so that they could love me. So, and then I had to be the obedient, you know, daughter that, you know, never fights against the word of my father or what my mom wants me to wear or whatever it is, right?
You basically lived in your head.
Yes, of course.
How did you get out of that?
It wasn't like a switch. It was, like I said, it was life events that happened, which made me look into it. I've started seeing a therapist, I want to say 8 years ago. It was the first time ever that I decided to see a therapist. And, you know, you start to in their own way, they're professionals, unlock things and they know. So when you talk about like, how was it at home? They will start to, it wasn't about, I always like to say this when I talk about therapy, because it's quite delicate. It's not about going into the past and digging and just trying to find something for the sake of, finding a pain and then dwelling on it and then making it an issue. And then you come out of it thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so traumatized. And, that's why I'm aggressive. That's why I have anger issues. It's not really about that. It's about just understanding what happened so that you can feel the feelings, you can deal with it, you can understand them, you can love them. Because whatever we did, we need to love those parts of us and put it in the past and move on. Mm. That's what I think is really important. Whenever we talk about the word healing or growing, it's not about just going back into the past and digging deeper and finding yet another thing. It's more about understanding it, loving it, freeing it. It's all parts of us. They're all parts that constitute Rhea today. The girl who felt lonely, the girl who felt unloved, the girl who's happy, joyful, loves to dance, bubbly, smiles with all her teeth. All parts of us, we have to learn to love. And when you love them, you love the ugly, which is very important. Then you'll be able to set it free. And then you can step into that newer version of you.
It's an amazing way of putting it, set it free.
Yeah.
You set our maybe it's our anger, it's our doubt, it's our self-doubt. It's about the way we look in the mirror.
Yeah. And how we talk to ourselves because of those, let's call them doubtful, insecure feelings. And one thing I was taught, and I loved it and I live by it, it's, whenever we feel insecure, not confident, whatever, the unloved, you kind of want to shut those feelings away, or you throw shame, you suppress them, or you throw shame at the fact, why do I feel insecure? I don't like that I'm angry. It's all these negative feelings towards these insecure emotions. And the most unloving thing we can do to ourselves is to say, we love the parts that we love about us. So I love that I dance. I love that I'm funny. I love that, all these things. But what about loving the things that we don't like about ourselves?
Yeah, that's the difficult part.
And that's self-love. Yeah. When you love the things that are not likable about you. And when that hit me, I was like, oh my gosh, we all don't like certain things about ourselves.
A lot of
whether
things.
It's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental. I don't like that I act this way. But when you can show those parts of you some love, that's true self-love. That really is. That's not selfish. Selfishness is, I love that, I have a great body because I work hours in the gym. I can love that because it does show as something that is a part of me that I really like.
Yeah.
But what about loving the things that you don't really like?
Yeah. Is there still some things that you don't really like about yourself?
Yeah, of course. And I think they're all beautiful. They're all parts of me, and I own up to them right now. Before I didn't. Before I used to shame myself for it. But today I go, say for example, I have ADHD. And for me at that time, I was like, oh, I have ADHD. It sounds like a disease. Or, today I love the fact that I have ADHD. I find it a superpower. I find it something that helps me in my work, because I am able to zap into 10,000 things at the same time.
Yes.
In my line of business as a choreographer and as a dancer, I'm able to think of every little thing before it goes on stage, because my ADHD brain does that.
Yeah.
So I learned to just love these parts of me. It's all what makes me me, right?
When we had a talk a few weeks ago, we were talking on the phone, and wasn't a few weeks ago, whatever. You told me something that but nobody notices, which is your cleft palate.
Yeah.
How old were you when you fixed that?
So you're born with it's a cleft lip. Okay, so just to educate the audience, because I'm very passionate about this topic, because not a lot of people know about it.
Exactly.
And we will dive into the emotional and mental
anguish.
Yeah, no repercussions from having it's called a birth defect. So some people have it in the palate, and some people have it just on the lip. I just had it on the lip. So what it essentially is at birth, you're born with the lip or the palate not fully closing, because that's like one of the last things that form in your body. So mine wasn't fully developed, just the lip. So literally at birth, that happened, and my mom, bless her, she didn't know what this is. There was no Google, there was no nothing, and the doctors then and there had to tell her that. So I was essentially born with that. I was operated. That's why I have scars on my lips, and then I lived with it. I think I had 2 or 3 operations after that, maybe at the age of 1, and then 3 again, because your body keeps changing. But that's pretty much it. And I've lived with it all my life. So it's called the birth defect, but I love the scar.
It is actually very prominent in a way that is beautiful, in fact, it brings something out. People would love to have your lip, my dear.
Thank you. I mean, I learned to love it because I was very well surrounded by people that said those things to me. They're like, it makes you you. Absolutely. I love it. I don't really see it, you know? So not to lie, as a kid, when you're in school and you're very observant as a child, and I was, my dad always told me, he's like, you used to have this like power in your eyes. You observe so well. You could tell when kids look at you different. You could tell you stand out. I was never bullied.
Good.
No, but I was made to feel uncomfortable. A lot of kids would ask me, what's that? You know, kids, they're unfiltered.
Of course.
What's that? And I would see whenever anyone would come and talk to me, their eye focus wouldn't go eye to eye. Right away, they would look at my lips. So you feel self-conscious. Oh, they're looking. And you, as a kid, regardless of how old you are, you're self-conscious. You know you look different. Yeah. I also have big curly hair. Today it's all sleeked up. But I have very, very big curly hair. And so I grew up in the States. And in the States, that's not, you know, I wouldn't say the normal, but you don't see a lot of the kids having big curly hair. It's the blonde, straight hair. So again, I looked very different to lots of kids in school. And then I moved to Lebanon, and that's where I continued the rest of my childhood and schooling. So yeah, I did feel it. And I had contemplated surgery, plastic surgery, all those things at the time. Very young age, like I would say almost 18 or 19 years old. That's not an age where you should be thinking like, oh, let's...
Yeah.
You know, I mean, no judgment. We all decide to do certain adjustments in ourselves if it makes us feel better. But at that time, I remember I was very adamant that I wanted to have surgery. And then all of a sudden I was like, thank God I didn't do that. It's such a big part of me and I love it.
Do you know, if you didn't mention it to me, I wouldn't have noticed.
Really?
I swear. Because I look at a person, it's not just me.
Yeah.
I know some other people will be like, oh, she has small eyes, she has a big nose, she has whatever ears.
Yeah.
I look at the person.
Yeah.
This is how I look at people. I never look at, but if I wish her teeth were different.
Yeah, I love that.
That's how I look at people. I think they're just gorgeous, how they are.
You look at their heart, at the soul.
I just think people are people and they look different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody looks different. And that's what makes them them.
Yes.
You know? And when you mentioned it on the phone, I was like, I didn't see it. Why didn't I see it? It was noticeable. I was sitting front row when we went in the event, but nothing. Over. You're beautiful.
Thank you.
And the way you healed yourself with dancing. I mean, come on. It's so beautiful. Expression.
Yes.
People express themselves in different ways. Mm-hmm. And you chose music and dance. Let's start from there. I know you started young.
Yeah.
But how did you use it to heal?
It wasn't a deliberate correlation. Like I wasn't intentional. Like I want to use dance to heal. But I then noticed this has been my healer for a very long time. It's been my happy place. It's been my place to express. And so this is where now I understand that it was healing because of the work that I've been doing on myself. So what happens in us is any emotion that has not been processed is trapped in your body. It is physiological. Regardless of what people think, this is something real. It literally gets manifested somewhere in the body. That's why people get diseases. It's called dis-ease for a reason. It's the dis-ease of unprocessed feelings.
I spoke about this in my last episode.
Oh, wow.
I spoke about how when we trap emotions and we don't speak
and
let it out, it manifests in illnesses and diseases.
Yes, a lot of people suffer from thyroid dysfunctions because maybe in our culture as Arabs, a lot of people are told not to voice out. You know, it's very big, you know. Certain traumas happen to certain people as kids and they feel like, I'm embarrassed to tell someone about this. So they'll live their entire life holding an emotion and not expressing it. or they tried to express it one time and they were dismissed, and that was it for them. So again, when you keep things inside of you, it doesn't necessarily need to be when you were a child. It could be something that happened to you in your 30s. That's why I am so big on expressing. I'm so big. I felt it firsthand. I can attest to that. You could check with my physiotherapist. You know, I go for weekly physiotherapy because I'm a dancer and I work out a lot and my body needs maintenance. And there's a lot that I notice certain places in my body where you hold stress, where you hold resentment or anger or sadness.
Your neck and shoulders.
The shoulders and the neck hold a lot of stress. And we always say it's stress, work. It's sadness sometimes, frustration, disappointments.
Hopelessness, helplessness.
Yeah, loneliness. Can you imagine so many times, like how many people feel lonely? This is trapped in the body. You just think, I'm lonely. And then they distract themselves, call a friend, go out, have a drink. But at the base of it, there's some feeling inside that's old, that needs to be heard, that needs to be seen, that needs to be felt. And then you can move past it. And so for me, of course, there are so many ways, but I loved the art of dance because dance, you move freely. I mean, not all classes you move freely. Most of them you can follow choreography and stuff, but you move freely, and you get to express. And there's music. For me, the correlation of music and the beats and the sound and just like I like to call it like you feel alive. I feel so alive.
True.
So alive. Whatever it is that I'm feeling, whatever it is, the minute I move my body, the minute I feel something has shifted. Physically, there has been movement of energy, and it's real. The energy, it's all energy, right? Pain, sadness, happiness, joy, whatever it is, all energy. It's all in your body somehow. You just need it to flow in a good way or out of you, you know?
Some people sing, some people dance, some people write.
Run.
I take my camera and leave and go somewhere and try to find things beautiful
Wow.
to take pictures of. Everybody expresses their own frustrations somehow, but
Yeah.
they have to come out.
Yeah.
And that's the therapy. And now you're using it to help other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, you healed, but now you are healing,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, that's a very nice way for putting it. I would love to feel that. I would never say that I heal someone, because even the people that I worked with, the professionals that I work with, they're healers, but they don't heal me. So it's very important. It's not like they do something to you to heal you.
They work
It's
with you to heal.
they facilitate you being your own healer. It's really, really amazing when you understand that it's all the power has always been within you. That's why they say every time you have to go inwards. All answers have always been inside of us. We seek for the validation outside. We want him to give me love. We want her to give me the applauses. We want our friends to see us and to tell us they love us. We don't. Are you emotional?
A little bit, because you're saying something that hit a nerve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
You said something that hit a nerve. And yeah, I felt a little bit emotional because I feel I have somebody I really care about, that she seeks validation through social media. And
Yeah.
that's very sad. And she's young.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little bit younger than you.
Mm-hmm.
And all she does is try to seek validation through social media.
Yeah.
Seeking validation is a little bit sad because, as you were saying, it's within us.
Yeah.
Everything is within us. And we're learning today that the brain is our driving force. It's how we manifest.
The heart also.
Yes.
Oops. The heart is definitely, it's always the heart. What you can't really make sense of. I remember my therapist always telling me this. And I'm like, I can't really understand. I don't know how to process. She's like, don't. Feel it. The heart will always know. And the gut. The gut is our second brain.
I agree.
The gut, anything in your life, if you're not sure of a relationship, a job, your gut is going to give you the answers. If you are in tune with it and you listen, you make time to listen. That's why people numb themselves with the scrolling. They numb themselves with going out and being busy or spending hours in a job. They don't sit with themselves. Just sit. No music, no distractions, no podcasts even. I used to be that. Just sit, feel it, understand what's coming up. When you listen, the body's working in your favor. You know, the brain protects us. The brain's job is to protect us. Survival mode. Oh my gosh, threat, blah. But the body knows.
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight is the brain, and that's what the brain should do for us. It's what keeps us in check, right? If a bear is chasing us, what's going to make us run for our lives? But the body really knows. And so back to the seeking validation, I was that person too. Until now, I somehow see myself falling back. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm looking for external validation. Go back and check, Rhea. Like I take a few steps back, I recalibrate, realign, recenter. But yeah, that's why I asked you if you're emotional, because that was one of the most detrimental things that I found within myself, for the biggest reason being it's a form of self-betrayal. And why I say that is because you can't validate yourself, that you have to look for it from the outside. And the people who are wanting that validation are people that want to feel worthy, enough, loved. And so the fact that they can't give it to themselves, can you imagine how heavy that word weighs? When I thought about that, I'm like, I can't give worthiness and self-value to myself, that I have to go and look for it elsewhere. And guess what? Most people are insecure. Most people are living their traumas. Most people are in pain. And I want that person to give me that validation.
Oh, perfect.
Can you imagine?
That's perfect.
So that's when we say love yourself. I'm so sorry, but people have misconstrued this word online. It's become a trendy word, like let's go to a spa and do a manicure. This is self-love, is feeling what pains you, what hurts you to your core, understanding I need other people to validate me. You know how hard that is to sit with it? I cried tears, and the people that you loved, or the people that were part of your lives, and you want that validation, or you want the job to validate you, then you lose the job all of a sudden, and you lose your worthiness. You know?
It's so
it's really important to understand that it's the love that you give yourself, sitting with yourself, understanding it, and then knowing how to heal it. That's very, very important.
But you need somebody to help you do that.
Yes.
So
I couldn't have done this on my own. I had a lot of help. My therapist helped me, and I also got introduced to healers, and they also, I would say less than a year ago, they were part of my path, and they taught me how to heal. And healing is not pretty. And now I understand why not a lot of people have healed, because you have to go through a little bit of a dark phase. You have to walk through the fire to come out of it on the other side.
What kind of trauma can movement heal that words cannot?
Oh, wow. I love that question. Because I am that. Sometimes I feel things when I'm dancing that I can't even express it in words. You know, I create concepts, I create music videos, I create shows. And so I have the idea, I have the feeling where it's coming from, what I want to create. And sometimes I can't write it, you know, I have to pitch it to a client, but I'm like, it's not the same as if I were to express it, you know? The expression, you know how they say a picture is worth 10,000 words? Yeah. I truly feel, it's odd, but I can't really explain it, but like the movement has more expression than words for me. And I think probably because it comes from my heart. And when there's feelings attached to it, I mean, although words can come from the heart too, but I feel like, yeah, when there's feelings, when it's coming from a raw place, when it's vulnerability, then the expression is way louder.
I want to talk about something that hit me when I met you. I met you, you might not remember well, but it was through an event. And the event was about fertility and how to heal the inability to get pregnant. I would love to talk about this because a lot of women give up, or they become very depressed, or they don't know where to go.
Firstly, I wouldn't know much about like healing it. I don't know if it's something that you heal, but I think there's like
treat, yes.
Or there's alternatives and stuff. So for me, my journey was basically egg freezing. So I wanted to freeze my eggs for the reason that I suffer from a blood condition. It's called essential thrombocytosis, but essentially what that means is I produce excess platelets, which means I'm prone to blood clots and strokes more easily than the average person. So if I want to get pregnant, that means I have to be under surveillance by my doctors, medication, etc. And it's, unfortunately, I'm not one of those women out there that can just try and get pregnant. So it has to be very monitored. Now, that's not a bad story at all, but it is something that, hindered the normal way of like how I would have liked to decide on, making a family and all that. So when I discovered egg freezing, etc., and I I educated myself and I talked to a lot of doctors and stuff, they told me that, with the blood condition that I had to unfortunately wait, and I had to get my blood levels to a certain count. And so it was taking a lot of time. And, I was in my upper 30s, and I'm like, okay, we all know that, there's a certain window for women. And I didn't want to feel stressed. I didn't want to feel like I'm losing time. So egg freezing came along, and I said, okay, why don't I just freeze my eggs until I sort out all this and get my blood levels in check? Because, again, I was going through like some health issues at the time. And so they had to put me on really strong medication. My medication is toxic to a fetus. So again, there's a lot that was happening, but there are solutions out there. And I think, if only people would talk about this more, because I didn't know. For all I knew is that people freeze their eggs if they, haven't found a life partner and they're 35 years old, 33 years old, and they don't want to stress themselves out. They have eggs in the bank and they can make choices slowly at ease, or a career woman, or that's what I thought. But like when that happened to me, I was like, oh, well, it can also work for people who have diseases that can't get pregnant easily, that need to, park it for a while. Women that are going through chemotherapy, if they have cancers and all that, they have to lay off for a couple of years. So why think that I may not be able to get pregnant because I'm going to be 39 by the time? You can just freeze your eggs. And then by the time when your body is healthy and ready to hold that baby, you have your eggs already frozen at a younger age. So for me, I found peace for myself, and also towards other women that would come to me and say, thank you for sharing your story, because I did not know. And it hit a nerve with me, which was, I wish I knew back then. I wish I knew when I was younger. I wish these were some of these information were taught in schools, in corporates, like in your jobs, where they allow you to get, tested for your AMH, your follicle reserve, your egg reserve, basically, to just know, where do I stand? We all have different bodies. We all don't operate the same way. A woman that's 30 years old may be very fertile, and another 30-year-old may be suffering to get one pregnancy intact. So it was a beautiful journey, because it was highs and lows, right? Because it's also, you're talking about the potential of having babies and making a family. It's a very dear topic, right?
Very dear topic. And you said something that actually really hit a nerve with the Arab women, which is the stigma of not getting pregnant.
Yeah.
And the way other people look at you. Oh.
Yeah.
And you talked about that in the panel. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, yes, it's true. Women have the choice now to freeze their eggs, to go through IVF, to do so many other things, which are really expensive. But nowadays, it's more facilitated through the tests that we do before, and then which prevents us from going through the trauma of other things.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can't change the society that we live in. And yeah, sometimes it is a little bit of a stigma where people go, oh, you haven't gotten pregnant. We know that. But personally, I've just learned to be like, that's other people's opinions, and that's a social norm that people have almost like caged themselves into these thoughts and these beliefs. And I understand it, and I hold a lot of compassion for it. But because I've done this work, I see things differently. You know how you said earlier, like, I didn't see your scar. I see things like, everyone has their story. Everyone's going through something. Everyone's feeling some sort of pain. So I come very much with so much compassion right from the get-go. I I have a lot of empathy. I'm an empath. I feel things very deeply. I was talking to a friend the other day. He was telling me a story like about himself, about his childhood. And I felt like I took on the energy. I took on his pain. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling as though it was me, you know? I just have that in me. So
difficult though.
I know.
Carrying other people's pain.
I mean, I hold it for a second, but I'm also a crier. So like I just cry. Like I let it go. Yeah. And I'm very good I'm in touch with my emotions. I allow myself to feel. So I got emotional. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm crying like because I'm feeling how painful that was for you. But I like cry it out, and I say, like I let it go. But you know, I love the fact that I feel. I used to once upon a time. I used to say, I said this to my dad actually. I said, I feel that it's a curse that I feel deeply. And I remember I used to say I wish I was more stiff, and I wish my heart didn't feel every hurt or pain. And now I regret ever saying that. And he told me, he's like, that's one of the nicest things in you, that you feel everything. When I'm happy, like laughing and like I'm the life of the party. Yeah. And when I'm in a bit of a mess or a sad moment, I'll cry. I'll sit and cry, and I don't mind showing my vulnerability to the people that are close to me. So it feels good because that's what feeling alive is. It's not numbing. It's not living a life that's on baseline, you know, no plateaus. The plateaus are good. Like, the troughs and the peaks are good. Plateaus are blah, meh, blah, and meh. Right? Like, I would not trade that feeling for anything else. Yeah. Even though I could say I went through a very, very tough time in my life, and the pain was real. But I thank whatever happened for that pain, because it's feeling alive. It's feeling it.
Leah, did you go full circle and found closure? Or still have to work through?
I think I can say that I happily have found closure. I would say more like peace within myself.
Amazing.
And the best part of it is when you don't wait for getting the closure or peace from the other people, from the person who fired you from the job, from the toxic relationship, whatever it could be, is knowing when to walk away, and knowing when you say, my peace is way more important than giving other people my power, and taking your power back and saying, this is my life. I have agency. I have a conscious brain. I can choose differently. I can choose to, it's easier said than done, right?
Absolutely.
When people might be hearing this and say, yeah, I could choose to be a better person and change my career and leave the toxic relationship, whatever it could be. But I can't. I'm stuck. I know what all that feels like. But it's in the choices that you do every single day, in the little habits, one after the other, consistently, when no one's watching you, when no one's clapping for you, when you have nothing to lose, when you are at your rock bottom, when the work you're putting in, you see nothing coming out of it, but you go, I believe in it. One day it's going to happen. And you do it again and again and again. And you're not getting money for it. You're not getting a clap for it. And no one's watching you do it. You still do it because you know by the end of it, you're transitioning. That's why I said at the beginning of this podcast, I felt it was a transition or a transformational journey for me. You're transitioning into a new version of you, a better version, right? More healed version, right? We're always going to have to work through things, but like the scars that we have on our bodies, there'll always be scars, but we can always look back at them, and instead of it being like, oh, it hurts, it could be like, wow, thank you for being there. You've taught me lessons.
Yeah, you talk about scars that are visible. There are scars that are not.
That's the same thing. Yes. With the mental, with the emotional scars.
Yes.
I treat them the same way.
Same way.
Thank you for bringing this into my life. Thank you for putting the pain in, because it made me do the thing, the choices that I would have not done before.
Is there anything you're still working on letting go of?
Yeah, there's one little thing I know that's still like lingering around, because I'm very much, I've pushed past it, but I can feel myself sometimes falling back into it, and it somehow, I don't mind sharing, it somehow lingers around the external validation kind of thing, and like not fully being in my full capacity of owning my self-worth and my self-value. I've definitely come miles from that. My confidence has changed tremendously since when I first was dealing with the pain, and I was shattered. I didn't feel confident at all. Like I could barely even work. I couldn't be me, basically. So yeah, it does linger sometimes. And, you know, I still am hard on myself sometimes. Like, why do I still feel, I thought I was past it. So yeah, we will always be a work in progress. I always say that we're a masterpiece, but a work in progress at the same time.
You know, even at my age, every day is a learning curve. Every day is a learning experience. Every day I learn. And I love that every day I meet people like you who teach me something new that I can add to my experiences, to my maturity, to my way of life, or the way I look at things. You know?
Yeah, that's so interesting, by the way, what you said, 2 parts, the way you look at things. That was something, actually, my sister helped me a lot with that one, talking about like sharing things. But, you know, I do that a lot with my sister. And a big part of what I used to do was I would see things glass half empty. And, you know, the power of reframing things, shifting perspective, taking the one lens off and putting another lens on, it's a massive change in my life. It was a massive change where I felt I could choose. That's when I go back to agency, like you can choose to see this. Why is this happening to me? This sucks. I'm a victim. Or you can choose to say, maybe there's a lesson.
Yeah, there's another pebble.
It's a pebble, or it's a mountain that I have to climb, whatever it is. Yeah. But no one is exempted from feeling pain in this lifetime. And we should be sure of that. And this is a human truth. That's why we come in the form of humans. We are all going to experience pain, but we don't all have to experience suffering. We don't have to suffer in that pain. We can feel the pain and we can move past it by rewiring our brain, shifting our perspective, not constantly wearing ourselves down, because the ego kicks in. Self-sabotage is a real thing. Coping mechanisms. We all have our little addictions or patterns, whatever you want to call it, that we can fall back on because it was what kept us safe once upon a time. When we have a coping mechanism, that coping was coping for a reason. It was helping us stay alive. True. In the sense that I don't want to feel unloved or whatever it is. And you carry that with you. You carry these, like like you said, your friend or someone dear to you, this endless scrolling or posting just because I want to get another like and another heart and another validation. That is a sense of a coping mechanism that she could not deal with on her own, that it manifested in social media or in whatever it could be. So it's really important that I noticed that it really changed my whole being when I was able to like see things from a different lens and always say that there's a learning in something. Mm-hmm. I've learned this from someone as well. She was going through a similar path and we spoke once. And she's also big on social media and has a podcast. And she mentioned that as long as you try to see what is the learning, what is the universe, God, whatever you believe in, trying to teach me, and you take the learning, you don't repeat it again. And even if you did fall back into it, again, what's the learning again? We fall back and that's okay. We're gentle with ourselves, but there's some learning out of it. And you give gratitude to that and you'll be able to move past it. I mean, I always say, sure, if I can do it, anyone else can do it.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's go back to your professional life.
Yeah.
And we're in August, and I know you have done a few things during the summer that you'd like to share.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is so beautiful that you asked me questions about how dance has been healing, and how the expression through movement helps move suppressed energy around. So I'm so happy that I've created this movement, and it actually literally just launched, and it basically has come together as a purpose of mine with the healing journey that I've been through and with my passion for dance. So a lot of people that are viewing this probably know that I'm a dancer, I'm a choreographer, I'm a teacher, I create shows, and I also teach dance. And part of where I wanted to take this to the next level was I wanted, somehow there was this like element that I felt I was depriving the world from, which was dance is therapy and dance is healing. And it came from a basic insight where people would just ask me, can I come to your dance class? Like, or am I too old for this? I've never danced in my life.
I asked you that.
Yeah, I have dozens of questions every single day. Am I too old for this? I've always wanted to dance and I've never got myself to dance, but why not? Yeah. I love dance. Dance is such a passion of mine, but I'm too shy. I'm all this.
Very shy.
So you're going to love what I'm about to share with you. So basically, when I put all this together and I was like, wait a second, dance has been such a healer for me and my life. And I felt that this was something that a lot of people were deprived from just because they don't dance or just because they never, picked up dance as a kid. That's unfair. So I created something called Not Another Dance Class, which is basically a class that people join, me as the main instructor, and hopefully I'm building my team for the future. But as of now, it would be me teaching a class of movement, but it's not a conventional dance class. So everything that people would shy away from because they have two left feet or they don't want to look off, and you want to look good in a dance class, the ego kicks in, all that, I parked it and I said, great. This is for the non-dancers out there, for the people who always wanted to move, always wanted to express themselves. It came from an authentic place. I knew from where it came from. It came from a place where I want to express, when I'm happy, today I'm so joyful, I want to express that I'm happy. You know how little kids are just like moving, and at the same time, when I'm equally upset or I feel there's stuck energy, I want to move this energy around too. And the class is not built in a conventional way where, you have to learn a choreography and memorize steps and all that, where people kind of freak out because it's not how their body has been trained to move. So they come to one of my classes or two, and then they never show up again. This is a follow-along class. So the music, first of all, has been curated with beautiful songs and lyrics, everything that is all about love and nostalgic, and songs that we heard as kids, and the things that make you feel like, oh my gosh, this was back in high school or whatever it was. And literally it's the one that makes you just want to stand on your feet and move, right? Yeah. You just don't know how to move, but it's those kind of songs, like the real songs that hit a chord and hit you from your heart and your soul. And it's movements that are easy to do. You follow along, very expressive. You learn a dance move or two, of course, but it's not choreographed. And it's very open for everyone to express the way that they want. And it's just been delightful to start this journey.
Yeah, I come in and I act silly.
You silly. And the only thing I would say is that it's not everyone doing their own thing. We're all following through. But the easiest way I can give you an analogy for this is, when we go to our weddings, like Arab weddings in specific, because we're loads of fun, let's face it. Yes, everyone at one point is on that dance floor. True. And everyone is just dancing their hearts out. Moms, dads, teta, jiddo, they're all there, right? Mm-hmm. And somehow you look at everyone like, wow, all of a sudden everyone's a dancer. Why? Because they're in the core element. They're in their own element. Ego is parked aside. There are no
inhibitions as well.
No inhibitions, and they're in the heart of love. Weddings are all about love. It's based on love. And the music, the vibes, you feel good, you're dressed well, and moving with the collective energy of people moving with you is healing. Believe it or not.
It is.
If you want to cry in that class, you can cry. You want to laugh, you laugh. You want to just go to kill 1 hour of your time because you had a bad day at work and change energy so you could go back home and show up in your good self to your kids and not snap at them. That's the class for you.
So before we end, I just want you to read this paper for me.
Yeah. I read it out loud?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And tell me if it kind of hits anything with you.
You grow into the woman your younger self would run to for protection. Wow. Oof. That's real.
Right?
That's
When you were
I
talking
felt it.
about all your insecurities as a child and loving all parts of you.
Listen, this is amazing, actually, because a big part of what I wanted to feel was safety. That was a big part that I remember. I never felt safe, and that's why I always had to like be a career woman and had to like work and had to, I had to do a lot of things to constantly find that safety within myself. And I did try to seek for that externally. And one thing that I came across recently, which was amazing, is everything we ever wanted, if we just be that person, then that's the answer. So that's why I got a little bit emotional when I read this. It's because we run away from something that is so hurtful in the chase of what we want. So I was busy running away from not feeling protected. I never wanted to feel unsafe. So I was running away, and however I did it, and I know, and I dealt with it, I wouldn't deal with it. I would just, take the next job that's gonna, give me financial stability, or whatever it was that I was doing that was a way of running from the pain I felt from not feeling that protection, not feeling held, not feeling that someone has my back. And I know, for one, it's really crazy that I'm reading this, because that's literally what happened to me, is that I felt for the longest time I didn't have that protection. And when I learned that I can find that in myself by protecting myself, by being that person, they say, be who you want, be that person, act like that ideal person would be acting today. And when you do it consistently over and over again, you find that within you. You realize you never needed it from the outside. It was always inside of you. You just didn't know it was there.
100%.
And that's one of the most life-changing things for me. And it works equally good when it comes to partners as well. Yes. We all say, like, I want my partner to be this kind of person, to act this way, to treat me like this. And you know what it is? It's all about you being that person for yourself. Start by doing if you want a man to be so generous with you, you want a man to constantly compliment you, whatever it is, vice versa for a woman, to have beautiful connection, these kind of talks, eye-locking talk. This is the type of person you want in your life. Be that person. Be that person. I remember one last thing I'll leave you with is my therapist said that for me, it was always like, I want to feel loved. I love love. Like, I want love. I just want, I want to feel loved by my partner, or my work, or my friends, the environment I'm in, the studio, anywhere that, you find me in. I just want to feel love all the time. So at the time that I was hurting, I was saying, I don't feel loved. I don't feel the love. And I remember these words, and they will never leave my mind. And she said, be the love. So what do you mean? She said, be the love. Everything you want.
It's energy.
Be the love. So when you walk into your dance studio and you're in rehearsals with the dancers, be loving towards them. Be loving towards your sister, your mother, be loving towards your spouse or your friends. Like, be that person that checks in on that friend that you see is not doing really well right now. That's just offering love. I'm here. You need me? You call me whenever you need me. Be love, and you'll get it back. It's all energy, right? So when you give that energy, you track that same energy back. So I love this.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
That wraps it up.
Thank you.
This is my first podcast in English, by the way.
Oh, wow.
See how it does.
It's going to do well. I think people will connect to the heart of it.
Yes, they would.
Not to the language of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
أراكم.
Bye.
أحياناً ما بنحتاج نحكي، بس بنحتاج نتحرك. نحتاج مساحة آمنة لنفهم شو عم بيصير بداخلنا، لنسمي وجعنا ونرجع نلاقي صوتنا. حديثنا مع ريا هو تذكير بأنه نحن مش وحدنا، وأنه التعبير ممكن، والشفاء ممكن، والصدق هو أول الطريق. نقطة على السطر.